You're
through him.
talking about you're talking about resilience.
Oh yeah.
One of
So
the
yeah,
factors was
and
intelligence.
finding the right person, but I, we just can't. I personally believe you can't leave out evil either.
No,
It's
I'm on the same page. I don't think
yeah.
so either.
You have to factor that in, that there's also something else in there. But it is amazing if you think about your life and a lot of other lives that were similar, and why, all the factors that led. And I
Hmm.
think you're nailing some of them though.
One of them I don't get, and I'm glad that you mentioned genetics a little
Mhm.
bit. You mentioned earlier about trust. Like, I have every reason in life to not trust people. I was abandoned by my parents. I was abandoned by some foster families. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? There's tons of abandonment in my life. I
Mhm.
don't know why. I've That's never affected my ability to trust people, and it's never affected my ability to make new friends, and it's never affected my ability to love. Like, in all my relationships prior to this, I full prior to the one I'm in, and even in the one I'm in, I'm fully able to give my heart to them. And the only issue is the one I'm in now. They do the same thing back. The other ones did not. But I don't
Yeah.
know how to halfway care about someone, even with friends. I don't have a lot of half friends, right? I have acquaintances, right, and business friends or work friends and stuff.
No
But like,
step friends though.
no, maybe a few step friends, like married into like friendship somehow, um, or friend in laws. Is that what that would be?
Friend-in-laws.
But I don't know how to like, and it sometimes gets me in trouble. Is what I'm saying. I don't know how to always be a friend from a distance. I really care about people. I really do, and I really care about when they end up. So when I have friends that are doing some bad things, the smart thing to do would be to distance myself from them, but I sometimes cannot. So for whatever reason, and I definitely didn't inherit that. So I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where my ability to love, my ability to have friends, or my ability to trust. I don't know why those were not taken from me, because I think they should have been. I should have trust issues. I never really have. I've always been very forgiving. If someone does something and they're man enough or woman enough to take up for it, I'm like, I have a hard time like I'll like take them right back, and I'm like, all right, fair enough. I'll move on. I'm very forgiving. I don't know where stuff like that comes from. So are you saying that some of that is just built in,
Uh, no, not necessarily.
or
I
do you
think,
think I learned that at a later age, just not at a young
I mean,
age?
that's what I'm saying. Usually you get it first as a little bitty baby, right? When you first come out, and the first people that take care of you. And if it doesn't go well, is it a possibility that very early on your mom was pretty nurturing?
Did you not hear the story about the bar?
You were three.
What about 2 and 1? So maybe
6 months
I get
old
what you're
is up
saying.
to a
That's more of a
year.
joke. Maybe there
Yeah.
was that I don't have any memory of.
Yeah.
There's good parts. That's what you know. What now that I think about it, I'm going to be completely honest. That is the thing about my mom, is she was very kind, and that's why it's so hard to be upset at her, because she's a kind lady.
Yeah.
She just made all the wrong choices, continues to make them, and you could still be manipulative and kind, right?
Mhm.
She has a kind face, she has a huge
Yeah.
smile, she's very loving, but her intentions are always self-serving. And so
Mhm.
maybe you're right. Maybe going back to the part where I took the best parts, maybe I just took that part from her. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't there, but she does these really big things and makes bad choices, some big bad choices. But there's all the other moments where she's at home and she's actually, you're this little bitty baby, and she's really looking into your eyes, and holding you and feeding you and nurturing you, and is kind and really does love you and values you. And then when the chips are down, she just chooses men or drugs or other stuff over some of your safety and needs that you had.
Mhm.
But maybe there was these other moments where she really did pour into you when you're
That's
little.
true, and that's fair, because I mean, if I'm going to look at it objectively, regardless of what I took from it, that would make sense that there was moments like that. And going back to the whole evil and good thing, it's yin and yang. Not
Mhm.
everyone, like, I guarantee you, at some point, I'm tired of using the Dahmer reference. I feel like Hitler put some
Hans
money in the plate at
Manson,
church one day
Charles
or
Manson,
something.
or
Manson, can we mix it up?
yeah.
I'm just saying, you could find one good thing a bad person did, and you could find one bad thing really great people did, at least, right? So in most cases, more. And so you're right. There's a yin and yang to everything. I think there's no just like um, complete understandable, like, that person's all this or all that. Maybe there is, but I'm speaking in generalities. I think for the most part, people have a little bit of both, which is why it's so important to understand people, right? Or at least
Mhm.
attempt to.
Could have been your brothers and sisters that have taken care of you.
Yeah, they did a lot for sure.
Mhm.
They weren't all there at different points, right? So again, I think I just had this blended mix of ideas and thoughts,
Could
and
have been
it
God.
could have been Jesus,
Mhm.
Jesus.
You did go to church when you were little.
I did all the time. I went a
Yeah.
lot. I went to multiple churches here. I don't even think you know about that. I for sure went to church with my grandma. You know that, because
Yeah.
she would always take us to Cracker Barrel. but you only got to go there if you went to church.
I tried
Those
to
were
use
actually-
that same thing on you when you moved in, and it didn't work anymore.
Well, I was grown up and I learned.
You learned.
I learned I could pay for
cannot
my
be
own.
manipulated by Cracker Barrel anymore. Yeah.
I did go all the time, but I did learn stuff there, and then I did actually go more seriously when I moved here. There's a lady when I lived with my mom and her boyfriend at the time. There was a lady whose son we met. I have no idea how we met them, but she would pick us up and take us to church. And at that point, church was almost like a refugee place. Like my home was so bad, I was willing to go to church.
Yeah.
But I did bad things at church. I remember I stole money from this kid who was like the one of the nicest kids. I don't even remember his name. He was really into VeggieTales, and so he would always have me over to watch VeggieTales, and I would like steal his stuff. I don't know. I just don't know why. I sound really bad saying this, but I'm being honest. I would go to his house, and he would play video games. He would like, dude, you got to see VeggieTales episode 345, Broccoli Meets Moses, or something. Like he was all into it. And I'm like, dude, put it on. And like he would put it on, and then I'm like, I'm gonna use the restroom. And whether it was like money in his wallet or some cool toy, his Pokemon cards, I would take stuff from him. And he liked me so much. I think he knew, but he was in denial. He's like, every time Will comes over, my stuff is missing. I wonder like who's coming over when Will's here. Like he never like blamed me for anything, and I felt bad as an adult at the time. I'm like, you know what I mean? I don't know why I did that. I know this is a weird story. We went from God to thievery. I really like that kid, man. Yeah. I feel sorry. If you're out there, hit me up. I'll apologize. But yeah, I did go to church a lot, and you know, there's a lot of it that makes sense. There's a lot of it that does not. And I've talked about this in a previous podcast as well, so I won't get too much into it. But I do think there's a benefit, right? Maybe you're willing to consider this or not. But here's my take on it. There is kind of a benefit for not really committing to a religion. And the benefit of that is I get to objectively listen to other people's beliefs. Everyone thinks that their religion is the correct one. Very little people ask me, what do you think? It's usually like, are you one? And when I say no, well, hear about mine. There's a lot of that. But I have met people that are Mormon, that I had a wonderful conversation with them, probably the most silliest religion in my opinion, but I listened to it, right? And I met these Middle Eastern guys that were Muslim at a restaurant here, wonderful conversation with them. I've met Christian people, wonderful. And I can hear and take parts of it and understand it. And I've been to a Christian church. I've been to a Catholic church. I've been to all kinds of churches. It's one of the beauties of moving foster families a lot, right? And I get to take a little bit of it. I just I don't see what's the bad thing of not deciding. I don't want to pick one, but I like hearing about them all because once you pick one, then what the other ones are all wrong. Like, I don't know. So that's my take on it. That the one benefit is that I do get to hear people objectively, and they don't feel judged by me because I don't have an agenda. I literally just get to listen to what they're saying.
Well, and I had no agenda bringing up God, but when you're talking about love, and there's really no other reason, there's a lot of reasons you shouldn't love, but you do, and that's what made me think of God, because that's what God is redeem. To me, it's redemption, it's love, it's loving when you're not supposed to. That's my God. It's grace. It's like you don't deserve the love, but I'm gonna love you anyway. And that's what I hear from you. And I was hearing through that whole story.
I did not take it personally. I
What?
appreciate it.
Oh.
I never take anything that you say about religion personally.
Yeah.
I think me and you have a good thing going. You've never pressured me about it. You bring it up nonstop. It's always quick. I joke about it back, and you never get hurt at my joke. You just go, fair enough. You don't say this, but I'm sure in your head you're like, just try again next time.
Always next.
We have a good thing going, and I'm cool with that. Maybe one day a bell will go off.
Yeah.
But guys, this is Bobby, and Bobby here has a debilitating disease known only as cotton insides. And for one subscribe, for going down below and hitting that subscribe button, you can give Bobby here his first real heart. Do you have a real heart? Well, then hit subscribe.